So one of the main aspects of aging and what causes us to age is actually the loss of muscle tissue. So as we age, we tend to lose muscle tissue, otherwise known as sarcopenia. Now the interesting thing is, I used to think, oh right, as we age, we just gradually lose this muscle tissue over time. But in actual fact, it doesn't work like that. A good portion, possibly as much as 80 or 90% of the muscle loss is actually from what's called catabolic events. Now this is really important to know for whatever reason, whether you want to slow down the aging process, you want to have much better health, you want to have much better energy, you want to look better, you want to lose more weight. This is absolutely crucial to understand. So rather than this just gradual decline as we age of muscle tissue, what's happening is at certain times something happens that causes us to lose a considerable amount of muscle in a short space of time. So what things are catabolic events? Well, one of the things which is sort of obvious, and there's a lot of research on this, is what's called bed rest. So if you have to go to the hospital or if you're very sick and you have to lie up, even for as little as a week or two, you can start to lose 20 or 30% of your strength, and you lose a considerable amount of muscle in that time. So that's a huge catabolic event. Say that happens, you lose a few pounds of muscle, you lose 20-30% of your strength, and then you don't do anything to counteract that afterwards. You have just accelerated the aging process considerably. So what's another catabolic event? Well, it could just be where you're not moving around as much. Maybe you have an injury and you're still limping around, but you're not getting in steps, you're not exercising as much. That's another big catabolic event, and you can lose a lot of muscle tissue that way. Another catabolic event, which might be surprising, is actually weight loss. Most people that lose weight, a considerable amount of the weight loss is muscle tissue because they're reducing their food intake. They may be doing more exercise, but generally they're focused on calorie burning, so they're just doing some kind of cardio, not strength training. And while cardio keeps your type 1 muscle tissue active, the type of muscle that we lose as we age is actually type 2 that can only be prevented through strength training or resistance training, which is absolutely vital. So with weight loss, one of the top doctors that did really interesting research on weight loss as a catabolic event said that a lot of people will lose weight and regain it. And the equivalent of that weight loss is like 10 years of aging. So you lose weight and most people unfortunately put it back on. Now you're 10 years older. So that is a disaster. You definitely don't want to do that. All of these catabolic events, what should you do to prevent that from happening, slow it down, and ideally reverse it? Anytime this happens in your life, immediately afterwards, make sure that you increase your protein intake and include resistance training to regain any lost muscle tissue. And that way, you won't see an accelerated aging process, and you'll be able to maintain your muscle strength, metabolism, and metabolic health for much, much longer. So remember, catabolic events, if you don't do anything to counteract those, you're going to see a huge accelerated aging process throughout your life. What you can do straight away is counteract any previous catabolic events now and then prevent them going in the future. And anytime you do have one, regain that muscle tissue, and then you're going to have a much longer, healthier, happier life.